welcome to Nourishing the Mother. Listen to Q&A. We had a really great comment on this week's podcast, which is how not to fuck your kids up, which was how to set up other reliable, intimate caregivers in your child's life. And we thought that was a great place to have the conversation around the idea of how do you create a village that can facilitate that. You know, obviously in days of old, there was the idea of children being raised by a village of people, but really the nuclear family is the dominant approach now. So how do you find the right people that your child needs to grow all parts of themselves?
Absolutely. So probably the first point is what we really honed in on the podcast was that you cannot be everything and you're their everything to your child. It's not physically, emotionally, mentally or spiritually possible. We are designed to seek out and call in those people in our lives who we need some of this genius and we need some of that genius and we need a little bit of what's happening over here. So to try and be all of those things is literally that perfect person. It's never going to happen and you're probably going to fuck yourself up in the process. Never mind your kids.
Exactly.
So really what we're talking about is that the village itself, yes, you need a village to raise your children. Yes, you do. But the village is completely morphed form. So where back in even our childhood and certainly our parents, it was whoever was in your street was your village, whoever you walked, whose community house that you walked to was your village, and same for your mother. Now it's completely different because we all do function very much in our nuclear families. We're all so busy, we're all working, we're all dropping kids here and there and trying to juggle it all on our own. And very afraid to probably be really vulnerable and probably there's a lot of guilt about letting someone else look after your kids, someone else take them places and someone else to share that intimacy in a relationship with them. So it's about really transforming what those relationships give, how to seek them out is really where we wanted to go with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I think about the village that I've tried to create, it's based on different aspects of my life and really trying to find people that really fit in with me and my value system. So I seek them out. I seek out particular play groups that fit in with the style of, philosophy or parenting that I'm after. I seek out natural or organic, co-ops and circles of people and, things like your movie nights at Suburban Sandcastles. There's certain places that your peeps are going to hang out.
Yeah.
And your peeps are probably going to be having kids that want the same sort of thing. Yeah. It's how you start to create those connections. Online worlds are amazing.
And I think we touched on that in an earlier podcast, was the way that we haven't lost the village, just in a form that we haven't recognised yet. And the online one's a massive one. I mean, there's so many amazing, groups that women can dive into to connect with other women who are sharing.
It's changed form. That's what we were saying.
Yes, we were saying it's changed form. So it's still there, but it's not where you're looking for it. So how do you create it in the form that you want? I think it's also really about looking at your children. So what are their interests? How can you facilitate, connection with them through somebody else that shares those similar interests? We gave an example in one of our podcasts around your daughter who particularly enjoys creativity and art, and your sister who does enjoy the same thing. And that can be a beautiful connection that you can facilitate. And really talks to that idea that we don't have to be all things to our children and that they have enormous richness available to them if they can see someone else who's also inspired by the thing that they're inspired by.
Yes.
It's almost like back when you're at school and you had that. back at school when you had an amazing teacher and, you know, they can just bring to life your own inspiration because of how inspired they are. You can really start to do that yourself for your own children in your community.
Yeah, you can. And I would also say it is, there's that whole concept about putting in place in your child's life adults that that role model something that you're wanting them to aspire towards. So there might be, you know, your partner's friends or even your friends that have particular qualities, and you place them in your lives with particular intentions that they will gravitate towards them naturally. So when I think about my kids' lives, it's certainly who's creative that my kids are going to latch onto, who's really inspired by this area of life that they can latch onto that isn't my genius. Who are the coaches for sport in their lives can play a massive influence on who they are. And then looking beyond that, there is certainly when I'm willing to be vulnerable with even the women at school that are in my community, then we all live close to each other. It's the beauty of having kids in a close school, is as my son's gotten older and we've had a couple of real doozy, like really full-on moments, and where I felt like I'm out, I can't handle this right now, I rang my friend and gone, can I just send him round to you? And he just rides to her house, which is around the corner, and all of a sudden she has this overwhelming love and empathy without all of the stuff that I'm hanging on to with him. And he's able to reach this place of equilibrium and connection with her. It doesn't need to be me all of the time. So it's about looking at what this tribe offers our kids, and that when we are actually willing to put our hand up really and say, I'm not genius at everything that my kids need, is looking at where you can actually put people in their lives. Okay, Antoinette's kicked back in again. So find your tribe, seize the moment.